Hello, we're back. This is the plot series, How Do I Plot a Novel, Memoir, or Screenplay? We are on step 20, and this is a big, important step that we've been working up toward. This is the highest scene in terms of intensity of the entire project so far. This is a critical element and one that you want to think about in terms of character emotional development and dramatic action. That something big and symbolic, and if you have an action-driven story, that it's an external, action-packed, shoot 'em up sort of bombs going off and the rest of it, or if it's a character emotional development plot or a character-driven story, that there's something that happens that really sends the protagonist to her knees, because a crisis is a breakdown. And what it is that it's a breakdown to crack the character open in order for there to be a breakthrough. Because as we've been talking about stories, is that really plot and stories are all about character transformation. That on some level, because of the dramatic action, the character is either changed at the least or transformed at the best. And that transformation happens usually because of what happens at the crisis. At the crisis, because they are sent to their knees, and it's really, a crisis, like some big, horrible thing, a diagnosis, a divorce, whatever constitutes a crisis, a loss of a job, some sort of nature element. There's a hurricane, or there's the destruction of your home or whatever. But the things that you hold dear, the things that you've identified with in your journey, are stripped away from you. And in being stripped away, you then are going to be rebuilt, and you will be then rebuilt in a new sensibility and a new consciousness. And you will understand your relationship to the greater world around you because of what happened at the crisis. You'll realize, or the character will realize at the crisis, that they can no longer blame other people or other things, or their spouses or their kids for their misery or misfortune, but that it's really them. It's their belief system. It's their attitudes. It's the things that they have decided to carry with them. And the crisis is a wonderful opportunity to have a wake-up call, that you can no longer be unconscious anymore and asleep. You now are awakened. And because of that awakening, there is a chance then for this transformation. This happens on a lot of different levels of different stories. So again, if it's action-driven and it's a sort of blockbuster movie in the summertime, or a big thriller or suspense movie, then obviously the crisis is going to be an external crisis. I just saw Angelina Jolie's movie Salt recently, and talk about high action. I mean, if it's just one huge thing that happens to this woman after another, and she's so incredible because she's just such a strong, dynamic woman, that can do anything that a man can do, only better. And at the crisis, she really is stripped away from her entire belief system, and it is the highest energetic scene in the whole story. And that's what you want in your story, because we talked about how a story really is energy, that the energy flows from the beginning, it builds, it might drop a little bit when the middle begins, and then the middle might flatten out a little bit when there's the exotic world and you're sort of showing the new world, which is of interest to the reader, but then it shoots up quickly to the crisis. So even though on the plot planner line it's going up, it's the lowest point for the character, but it's the highest energetic mark for the story. I was really torn in drawing the plot planner, which way should that line go? But because the line represents the energy of the universal story, I chose that it goes high, because that fits for that. So this crisis happens at about the 3/4 mark. The dramatic action and the character emotional development can hit at exactly the same time for the biggest impact. The character emotional development crisis can come a little bit earlier, and the dramatic action can come a little bit later, but they're tied thematically together, and one contributes to the impact and drama of the next. But it's right around that time. And the reason that it's really important for the reader and the audience is that they've been reading and watching for a long time, and there needs to be an impactful moment. They need what I call a payoff for having focused and concentrated. Something big has to happen to symbolize that there's a shift in the story, and there's going to be a shift in the character's overall emotional development. So at the crisis, you want to show, the character's reaction to the events that are happening to them, and try to have it be a high energetic moment emotionally, because we most identify two characters through their emotions, and we sort of get viscerally attached to them based on how they exhibit their emotional makeup and their emotional reactions to what's happening to them. So that's this step, and I want you to think about your story energetically. If you've written a draft and you want to sort of test it to see where you are, count the pages, divide by 4, and see where you are at the 3/4 mark. And generally it will be there. The thing that I think is so magical about writing is that usually it's all in the story, but it's up to the writer to find it and then to craft it into that particular scene with the impact that it needs to have. So take a look at what you have. If you're pre-plotting your story and you haven't written it, then this is the time to really think, what thematically would be the best external event that could happen to strip the character down to their core, in order to then, in the last quarter of the book, you're going to rebuild them into the character or the person that they were always meant to be. So for people who are suffering a crisis, it's just an opportunity to sort of look at what it is and realize that there is a gift there, that there is this possibility for transformation, as long as you don't go back asleep and you don't go back and become unconscious and you don't carry the mantle of a victim. But you see it for what it is, that it's a gift for you to be transformed and become the person that you're meant to be. And as a writer, you'll probably suffer some crises along the way as you get rejected, or critique groups don't understand your writing, or you get bad reviews, or nobody will publish your book, or whatever. Those are moments for you to recommit and to see what part you're playing in your own demise. So my book is Blockbuster Plots. It has all of this in there, and it shows you ways to create the plot planner if that's where you are and that's what you want to do. There's also a scene tracker, so you can track your scenes for the 7 essential elements that should be in every single scene in terms of dramatic action, goal, emotional development, emotional change, conflict, thematics, all these different elements. And then you can also go to my blog, theplotwhisperer.com, or my website, Blockbuster Plots for Writers. So I hope you can tell where we are. We're doing, my partner and I, Kathy Kress, who just came out with a fabulous new book, Mom Loves You Best, and I are doing this Santa Cruz traveling mystery tour, and this is one of our locations. And so take a look at it, see if you can find where we are, and if you can, then enter the contest, and there's a website for it under Traveling Mystery Tour. So, thank you.